we're gonna get started back on with the second part of the panel. So this section is gonna be, like I said earlier, focusing more on the mentor side of the relationship. So we have two official mentors, Carrie and Ryan, here with us today. I don't know, are you all mentoring anybody yet?
We're OK Coders mentors.
Just OK Coders.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, that counts.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I mentor people in the education space, but not in the developer world. So that's a little bit different. But anyway, so we're going to start off with first just having Ryan introduce himself. Ryan, who are you? How did you get into tech?
I am Ryan Barnes.
Okay.
I was in transportation for 13 years and decided that I needed a career change a few years ago. So kind of blew up my existing career and started kind of poking around online just to kind of see what I wanted to do, and got sucked into the development side of it. And after a few months of kind of like learning online, self-paced stuff, I jumped into OK Coders. I was actually in like Hannah's group there.
Notice a theme here.
Do what?
I said notice a theme
Go
here.
OK Coders.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
Coders.
yeah, OK Coders is great. I mean, really, to make a long story short, after a few months there, and I got my first job offer, and so I've been working for the company now for 13 months.
Nice. Okay, coming up on a year. So you got a year in your job and a year plus in yours?
A year at my other job, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, a couple months in this one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the first question is, what are the benefits of mentorship for the mentor? We kind of talked about this in the first half, but we're flipping the script. So what is the benefit of being a mentor for those of us who might want to be one in the future? Anybody? I can start if nobody has an answer. I feel like for mentors, it can be a little bit tricky because usually the relationship is focused more on the mentee and like you sharing or a mentor sharing their experience with the mentee. But the benefit of being the mentor is the leadership experience, because you can use that on your resume. It looks really good when you're talking to your colleagues, especially as you're becoming more senior in your role and you're trying to become maybe a senior dev or a team lead inside or outside of tech. It looks really good that you can not only learn things for yourself, but be able to teach them to others, because you're going to need to be able to do that as you move along. So I think one of the main benefits is just being able to help somebody else figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think in doing that, you also figure out what you don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
yeah.
And then you figure out, I see this a lot at my job. All of the developers that I work with have at least 8 years of experience. So there's a lot of questions that I ask or perspectives that I have that they wouldn't typically think of because it's just part of their routine.
Yeah.
And I think that's important as a mentor too, is like when you have somebody that you're trying to work through something with, that perspective or those questions that they ask can be just as valuable to you as a mentor as it is for them as the mentee.
Yeah. I know one of the things, like in my current job, when we're helping our new hires for as far as money coaches go, when we're helping them, it really forced me the first time that I had to mentor a new money coach. It forced me to not just know how to talk a student through financial aid for myself, but to break that down for somebody else who thinks about it completely separately. Kind of like what Ryan was saying, you get so used to knowing things that you forget, like at the beginning, okay, what does that word mean? You never heard of FERPA. You don't know what the FAFSA is. So like you're trying to explain things on a more basic level before you start just throwing it all together and say like, go fix this problem. So I think it helps you, being a mentor helps you to learn how to support others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's mutually beneficial.
It's mutually
It's
beneficial.
a good opportunity for like continued learning.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody else? If not, it's totally fine. I don't know if it make you feel pressure.
No, I agree with Ryan totally. Yeah,
Okay.
because you learn things that you may not have discovered during your time as, you know, by then you'll be a senior. There might be some new language, there might be a new concept that your mentee might want to know. And as I say, you may not know what it is, or you may know some aspects of it, but then you know, once you get that ability to, that opportunity to delve into it, you can help that mentee a lot with
Yeah.
that question. So I agree totally with Ryan.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
a two-way street.
Mhm.
Okay. So kind of going on the goals and the achievements, how can a mentor help their mentees set goals and achievement? Because one of the things we talked about earlier was sometimes mentees are coming into the relationship and they don't really know what they're wanting to get from it. So, and you guys as experienced, if you already are a mentor, how can a mentor help the mentee come up with like, these are some good goals and this is how you might achieve them?
Well, I would say I've never set goals with with my mentees, but I've always asked, what are your goals? Or
Mhm.
what is your goal? What do you want to achieve? Like, what do you want to achieve from this relationship that we're building? And that's like one of the first questions.
Mhm.
So, but if you're looking at setting goals, I would say there's a formula they call the SMART goals.
Oh, okay,
Those,
yeah.
the SMART goals, those are good in terms of making sure, you know, like your goals are specific enough, measurable, and it's an acronym in terms of how do you build a goal,
Mhm.
right? So using the SMART goals I think, will work, because then you also have a timeline within the, you know, within a certain period you want to achieve something. So I want to learn JavaScript within 6 months, right?
Mhm.
And your mentee knows that within 6 months you should have completed JavaScript. So your mentee is going to your mentor is going to find ways to help you learn that JavaScript within 6 months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, sorry, I had space for a little bit because I was thinking about something. The other thing I was going to say, kind of relating to what you just said, when we finish the panel today, there's going to be some links that we're going to put in the Slack channel that will talk about like what is a mentor, how to find a mentor, how to be a mentor, some podcasts and YouTube, just like a couple of things that you've been here, but it'll kind of give you a little bit extra. And one of the things that Eric posted yesterday, some of you may have seen, it was an article on like the difference between a mentor, a teacher, a guide, and a tutor. I think a mentor can really help you by asking questions. So kind of going off what you were saying earlier, if the mentee doesn't know what they want to achieve just yet, as the mentor, you can try to ask them questions. And that may not be you all specifically, it might be somebody watching online, but I'm just saying you in general. Asking them questions of like, okay, what are you hoping to gain from this relationship? What's your ultimate goal? What are you working on right now? Where are you at right now, and how can I maybe help you take that a little bit further and make it better than what it is now? So then that way you have something to work on and towards with them. So I think a good way to do this would just be asking them questions. Like what are they wanting to get from the relationship, and what are they trying to achieve right now? Did you all? Okay. So this is kind of, maybe, I don't know if this is, we can skip this one. I don't know if this is too specific. This was kind of going off of what Eric posted yesterday, that article. He was saying like the difference between mentoring and tutoring. I don't know if you all saw it. So sometimes like to give context, sometimes a mentee will come into the relationship and what they're really wanting is someone to help them solve code issues. Like when they get stuck, instead of, maybe figuring it out or using their resources to try to work through the problem, a lot of times what we're seeing is that the mentee will just be like, hey, you're my mentor. I'm working on this specific issue, and I don't know what to write next, or I don't know how to fix this particular code problem, which is totally fine, but you don't, what the question is asking is, when you're working with your mentor, how can you balance asking them questions that are so specific that you're kind of using them like ChatGPT and just be like, fix my code, versus like actually helping them think through it? Like, how do you balance that is what this question is trying to get at. And I don't know if you all have had that. I know when I first started, I was doing that a lot because ChatGPT wasn't out yet. So whenever I would get stuck, I'd be like, okay, You're supposed to know how to write this language. You're supposed to be multiple years better at this than me. So you probably already know the answer, and I just need to know how to get that answer. So how do you balance that to keep your mentee from just coming to ask you for the answers to the test, quote unquote?
I don't have a solution for that, but I do know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
A tutor helps you with, like, the tutor exposes you to to education or to the knowledge, right? So
Mhm.
they help you discover that knowledge, right?
Mhm.
That's what a professor or anyone else would do. Help you by exposing you to the knowledge. A mentor helps you in terms of the nature of the individual.
Mm.
Whether you're going to be just a entry level for all your life as a developer, or are you going to be that best developer, right? That how I call it, a Swiss Army knife type of developer.
10x is what I've heard.
So that?
Have you heard of the 10x developer? Maybe we shouldn't even
No,
go there, but-
I haven't heard of it, but
Okay.
yeah, I would love to know more
Okay.
about that. Yeah.
It's something that I think is not supposed to be. It's essentially like a developer who is 10 times better than any developer around them. So it's a
Right.
controversial like
Mm.
title. But anyway, you were saying
Yeah, like
just helping them get better.
yeah, get to that point, right? Because I think the mentorship is more than just like learning. Okay, how do I do a function, or how I do certain loops, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, it's more about developing your nature, your skill set. I wouldn't say skill set, your nature as a developer.
Yeah.
How do you get those jobs, as Jonas said earlier?
Yeah.
So just building your character as opposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier too, Hannah, because like your mentor gives you perspective.
Yeah.
So sometimes we're coming at the problem and we don't necessarily, like we're thinking we need the answer, but really we need a different way of looking at the problem
Yeah.
to figure out how to solve it. I know that was one of my, like on my GitHub, my number one project that I have at the top is called my most frustrating project. And it was because I had gotten tangled in knots of just like adding things because I was like, it's not working. So add this. And I was talking to Eric Keel. I don't know if anybody in here knows him, but he's really good at explaining things. And he helped me to realize that I actually was adding more code when I needed to remove code. And I would not have figured that out by myself because I was thinking, well, maybe I'm writing something wrong, the syntax is wrong, or I'm not doing a key value pair or something right. He was like, actually, you've got conflicting lines of code in here. You need to take stuff out. And I was like, oh my God. So I put that as my top project whenever I'm telling people, like, this is the one to go look at because now it works, but it was not working when I was trying to do it.
Yeah.
And that's an example of like your mentor helping you with perspective instead of just giving you the answer because he could have fixed it, but he didn't. He would not tell me how to fix it. Okay. Anybody else want to add to that or no?
Yeah. I would just add just a quick little blurb on there is I think what Carrie said about the tutoring is more of a technical aspect, and the mentorship, I always kind of think of somebody that helps you fill the gaps in what you need. Sometimes that's knowledge, sometimes that's energy, sometimes that's just having somebody to bounce things off of. It could be different for everybody, but yeah, just somebody that helps elevate you and get you where you want to be, whether that's mentally, technically, whatever that is.
Yeah. Okay. So another good question is just like, how do you balance supporting your mentee and allowing them to figure things out on their own? Because kind of like, the theme of it is the mentee is obviously coming in and they are wanting to be supported. They're trying to get better. And you guys have all kind of mentioned, like, you want to help them improve. But how do you find that balance of like, I'm helping you improve, but I also want you to be able to kind of figure some of this out for yourself? Like, where's that line? What does that look like?
I think maybe just staying like one step ahead, maybe just enough to like give them something to like aim for or strive for, just not so far ahead that they're not really sure where to go or what to do, but you know, kind of leading and guiding them to where they need to go without giving them the answer specifically.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes if you're really, really, really stuck,
Yeah, really
then you
stuck.
just kind of
It's like,
have to
just
like,
answer the question.
figure it out together. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
just kind of being one step ahead and
Yeah, I agree. I think part of it is kind of being like one step ahead, and then sometimes just like asking questions to help them think through it.
yeah.
So if it's a specific problem, or maybe it's just like right now, one of my big things is actually applying for jobs, actually finding the jobs. So obviously you can't do the application for your mentee, but helping them think through like, this is where you could go look, this is how you go, maybe talking to recruiters, or how to go about finding the actual job on LinkedIn or different websites and resources to look up things instead of trying to do the thing for them. That way they feel a little bit more empowered,
Yeah.
instead of feeling like, I always think of like a little bird. You know how like a little bird sometimes like you just have the mom bird like it's like they're just kind of waiting sometimes, like, yeah, you don't want to do that. Well, I guess we'll just go to the next one. So mentees have different learning styles. How do you adapt to the different learning styles? Some people, I don't know if you all have ever heard of like the audio visual learner. Some people prefer coming in person. Some people need to see it. They need examples. Like, how would you like pay attention to that kind of thing?
Well, to me, like, I feel like thinking of the learning style aspect is not what the mentors should be looking at,
Okay.
because that's like learning styles. That's for the tutors.
True. This is true.
Yeah. So in that sense, I think with mentors, our job is to be able to understand you as an individual. How do we communicate with you? How do we encourage you? How do we motivate you? How do we get, whether it could be something that's intrinsic or extrinsic that kind of motivates you to get there? How do we make you feel like this journey will be safe, right? So I think in that sense, I think I have something I always say, which is crazy because sometimes individuals feel like care is being a little bit less emotional, but it's not. I think honesty is the best policy,
Right.
right? So having that honest conversation with your mentee, you kind of help them in terms of learning the things that they want to learn. Okay, so the last question, I think honesty in that case would have helped, where you say, well, I know you want to learn how to do X, Y, Z, or we have to do this, you have to complete this project, but honestly, I cannot help you with this project. You have to go on your own
Yeah.
to
Setting that
explore.
boundary.
And then when you get to that hurdle, I can help you over that hurdle, right? So some, like, that can feel like a little bit kind of harsh, but sometimes we pay our money, go to university, but our professors do the same thing to us.
Right.
Yeah? Because the professors would say, I'm just here to help you, to expose you. That's what professors say. I'm here to just expose you to the knowledge, right? So in terms of a mentorship relationship, I think we should, like, the mentees should be willing to get that honest opinion from the mentors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of this too, if you think about it, maybe switch out learning style for personality type. That makes it a little bit easier, because like you were saying, some you've got several mentors and or mentees, and you were saying some of them are, really straightforward to the point.
Yeah.
And then we know some people are very introverted and they
Yeah.
have a hard time asking questions.
Yeah.
So I think adapting, like, the way that you engage each of your mentees, whenever you become a mentor, if you're interested in being a mentor, like changing the way that you engage them a little bit based on, okay, I know, you know, Allie's a little bit introverted and she maybe won't ask questions, but then I know Hannah, you know, has a little bit more, and she's, you know, she will say like, this is something I'm stuck on. So I will try to reach out more to one person and then wait for the other person to reach out to me, knowing that that's kind of how their dynamic naturally works.
Yeah.
So then, you know, it kind of makes it where all the onus isn't on you to figure out what to do.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part, just the personalities.
Yeah.
Like the hardest part is knowing that you're juggling personalities. As a mentor, you're juggling personalities. Like, mentee 1 would not be mentee 2. Mentee 2 may not be like mentee 3.
Yeah, you can't do them the same.
Yeah, there's no one solution in terms of treating each mentee. You just have to be able to understand, and sometimes it takes a while. It feels like a mind game. Well, sometimes to me it feels like a mind game.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to figure out the individual, how to respond. Sometimes the way they ask you questions and all those things, you know. So, but once you understand the personality type, introverted or not, you know, yeah, I think it becomes an easier relationship.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important that you like just kind of be friends, like actually just have the relationship and just be, you know, be human with them, because then that takes the pressure off of like trying to figure out like, what am I supposed to do? What is it supposed to look like? Well, how would you do this for if this was somebody that, you know, you were friends with or a coworker with and you were trying to help them figure something out? You wouldn't be trying to do this super complicated system of like, I'm helping you in this specific learning style. I probably should have rewrote that a different way. But just paying attention to their personality and kind of fitting the way that you're helping them to their personality. Yeah. All right. So somebody said something about this earlier, but mentorship is a two-way street. So it's not just like the mentee is the one who is learning. Mentors also learn from their mentees. What kinds of things do you all feel like mentors learn from their mentees? Because this could be like another benefit of being a mentor.
Yeah. You want to go ahead? All right.
No, go.
Well, to me, like a mentor, right now I feel like I was having a conversation with Jonas, and usually we say, you know, the primary thing for a mentor in terms of your benefit in terms of mentorship, we say mentors should, it helps mentors become better, right, at their job. Sometimes some of us, we are past that stage. We are at that expert level or staff. You know, Kimberly said there's the principal, there's the staff level in terms of seniority within your field. And I believe that because at that point, you're no longer willing to just go over theoretical things or concepts because you have been through it so many times. But however, I also believe that having a mentee kind of exposes you to that new thing that may come about, right? So I remember having a call one day, and this guy, he was like, Kerry, do you know this is happening? I was like, okay, I'm gonna check it out, and he was right. Yeah. I remember one time I had a mentorship session, and you know, one of the mentees told me, do you know how to design for AR? And I was like, why do you want to know about AR? And he was like, okay, well, there's this new goggles or glasses that's gonna come out. That
Apple Vision?
Say that?
Are you talking about Apple Vision or something else?
Well, that was prior to that,
Okay.
right? And that was like last year.
Okay.
And you know, like this month, I'm like, wait a while. We should really take designing for AR serious, because yes, Apple is really gonna revolutionize how we do computing now, right? So, and that was for a conversation with a mentee who kind of made me realize, okay, there's this new thing that you should also pay attention to.
Yeah, I think those are really good points. I'm thinking about one of my coworkers. His name is Caleb, that I'm sort of kind of mentoring, We have different personality types because he's very high energy. You would think I'm high energy today. Really, actually, I'm an introvert. I'm just very well rested. Very well rested. Like y'all, I went to sleep because I knew I was gonna be up today. But Caleb is like in our office. We call him the party planning committee because anytime we're doing something fun, we just hand it off to him. And he's really good at connecting with the students that we work with because he's so personable. He loves OU sports. I don't really care for sports. And so whenever he's talking to them, he finds something to connect with them about. And so one of the things that I'm learning from him is like how to have like a one-on-one conversation that doesn't just go straight to the point. Because we're talking about finances, financial aid. I'm like, okay, this is how much it's going to cost. This is how much you need. And then these are your options, ABC. This is it. And he's like, okay, well, what makes you excited about OU? What are you wanting to study? Like, and I'm like, okay. So I feel like the other benefit of, or one of the things that you can learn from your mentees is how to approach things from a different angle. Because you can get so used to the way that you're doing it,
That's true.
they can come at it from a completely different way, and it's just as effective. I actually feel like his students like him better because he talks about that kind of stuff and does not get to the point, which is counterintuitive to me because I feel like, I'll be like, I came here for a specific reason, and this is what I want. I don't want to talk about other stuff. So I think that's helpful too, having your mentees like, I love to know how people think.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. When I'm talking to you, I want to know, how are you thinking about this? What is your perspective? And how does that differ from the way I'm thinking about it? Because maybe I need to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to add something? You
No.
seem like you want to add something.
No, I agree.
So getting stuck. We know that getting stuck is normal, especially in the developer world. How can a mentor help their mentee navigate being stuck? Or can you give us maybe an example of like when you were stuck and your mentor helped you? Or if you're the mentor, how did you help your mentee get out of being stuck?
I would like to say that you will be stuck a lot. I'm stuck every day, multiple times a day. And that's just part of it. It is so frustrating in the beginning when something won't work.
Mm-hmm.
Use the Techlahoma Slack channel. There's a ton of really smart people there. If you have a mentor, use a mentor if they're willing to help you on the technical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But don't stay stuck too long. It's okay to be stuck for a while. They say where I work, like swim as far as you can swim and then ask for help. And that really helps because you kind of constantly push yourself, spend a little bit of time trying to figure it out yourself. And if you can't, then like throw up the flag and ask for help. But just be prepared to be stuck a lot. That's okay. That's part of it. Everybody that I work with that has a ton of knowledge gets stuck.
Yeah.
They're just better at figuring out how to get unstuck. And
Yeah.
that just comes with time. So
Yeah. I think the getting unstuck part is like you said, that's the hard part. So for me, especially with this code, I had to change the way that I learn things when I was trying to learn code. And because I'm so used to like, okay, once you figure out how to do something, it stays the same. And then you just copy paste for all the other problems that look very similar. It's basically pattern recognition. Code does not work like that. And that's the biggest thing for me. When I first started, I was like, okay, I'm stuck and I keep getting stuck and this is stupid. So tell me what is it that I'm not figuring out that will keep me from getting stuck in the future? And so I think the mindset, the perspective that your mentor helps you have, for me, for example, like pair programming, it can be nerve-wracking to have somebody watch you live as you're figuring something out. You're gonna have to do that in an interview. So that's something I tried to help myself like kind of get over. But at the same time, like having somebody guide me through, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what it's doing right now. Rubber duck is what they call it, I think, the rubber duck method, but you're doing it over pair programming. Like that was really helpful. I think obviously asking questions, but really it's like, how should I be thinking about this? What am I missing? Usually I think is really helpful versus Like maybe you had something that's going really well, you just got hired, or you really just finished the project, and you're feeling really good about yourself. Maybe you should post that. Then your mentor will be like, post that somewhere so everybody knows about it, so that you're getting a little bit of visibility, so other people can benefit from the thing that you just finished and is going well. Yeah. All right.
And I would add too, if you are stuck on something, get up and like walk away. That does amazing things, just stepping away.
Mm-hmm.
But also don't stay, if whatever you're working on, if you can get it to render, if it's a page or something like that, like if maybe styling, you can't get something to style or whatever the problem is, you work on other parts of the project if you can, and then come back to that issue.
Yeah.
So don't burrow on getting stuck, because that will lead to like bad mental anxiety. Either get up and walk away for a while, or do something else on that project where you can kind of get some momentum. Don't stay stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because that whole process of like, how do I get unstuck? Yeah.
Yeah, it's taxing.
Okay, we're gonna do one or two more, and then we'll finish up because I know lunch is coming and people are probably getting hungry.
There's also a couple of questions from Twitch. Are you ready for those?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, if we've got questions from Twitch, we'll just kind of skip to the end. What one piece of advice would you give to someone who's interested in being a mentor? And this would be a good one to hear from everybody. Like, it can be from your perspective, it can be a general piece of advice, but like, what's one thing that you would give to someone who wants to be a mentor?
I would say if you're like even entertaining the idea, by all means, go for it, because it is mutually beneficial, both for the mentors and the mentees. On the mentor side, it's more of like a continued learning thing, and more than anything, it's just as much of a resource for the mentor as it is for a mentee, because there's little things you can take away from your mentee. Whether it's like, one thing I always like to do with my mentor is share like new productivity tools that I've come across, like things that streamline my processes when I'm writing code, or just organizing things or laying things out that way. And I know my mentors really appreciated that, because it's like, wow, I've been doing this for a bit and I didn't know that that there were certain tools in place that could make things easier. It's a lot like working like on a Mac, out of the box, like just all stock. If you don't know how to set up a proper development environment, like that in and of itself can cause yourself a lot of problems. So like that's one thing that I've kind of been tinkering with a lot here recently. It's like, how can I improve the way my Mac works and the way it runs? Because again, out of the box, they're really silly things. So that's just one small takeaway that I know like my mentors told me, like, hey, that's been pretty cool that you've shared this stuff with me, because even though it's just like some silly little app I can plug in, it's making the world of a difference for me. Mm-hmm. But again, like, it's a good opportunity for continued learning. And it's just as beneficial for a mentor as it is for a mentee. Because again, it just shows like you're passionate about what you do and you're willing to give back to the community. And I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
I would say mentors don't have to be some superior brain.
Superior brain.
Mentors can help in such a variety of ways. So, I mean, I would encourage anybody that's just even getting into it and getting some momentum, be a mentor. It'll help solidify what you know and what you don't know, and it'll elevate you as a person and as a technical developer as well, trying to explain these things.
Do you want to add anything?
I think to me, like, it's beneficial a lot in terms of building community.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if you're taking that design or development journey on your own as a senior, you're just out there in the wild by yourself. Mm-hmm. When you go to your work, you have co-workers who are there with you. Sometimes they remain your close, colleagues or so, but it doesn't really say that, okay, that person is within my network in terms of like the strength, right? But when you have a mentor, when you have a mentee, that person becomes like a cheerleader for you.
Yeah.
Right? So no matter where you go in the world, that person will always remember you as, okay, Kerry helped me once upon a time to get me to where I'm at, right? They may not be saying it every day, or they may not be on Facebook or LinkedIn, like celebrating you. That's not what you're in it for, right? But at the end of the day, that person is always going to remember you as that. That's my mentor who helped me, and that is very important going forward, because it you, like, as a mentor, it provides you strength. It provides you reassurance. It provides you, in my case, I would say, I could even reach far saying maybe it provides me youth, right?
Yeah.
Because you're always. I say that as a joke because I say that as a joke because I know you all are always saying that I look younger. So yes, it gives you that connection to, always being relevant and being like current with everything that's happening. Yeah.
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 Did you want to add anything or no?
I'll just have like a really short thing. Like, I guess advice would be from a mentee's perspective, just to learn how to talk to people and ask good questions.
Yeah.
Be patient and
I agree with that. I was going to say something similar, just like, don't overthink it. We're talking about a lot of stuff today. This is literally just so everybody has a reference point, but it doesn't mean like, okay, when you go and you're like talking to your mentor or your mentee, that you need to try to do all these rules. Like, they're not meant to be rules. It's just trying to give you a reference point. So I would say, don't overthink it. Just like she was saying, ask good questions of your mentee. Just talk to them. They're a person just like you.
Yeah.
So it's you just want to kind of build that relationship and figure out how can you help them get where they're trying to go. It doesn't need to be a super project, super official project. Yeah. So what questions did you say?
Can you refresh it, Mike, either? One of them was about the marketing benefits of becoming a mentor, like I think marketing yourself.
Ooh. Are there any marketing benefits to being a mentor?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just another highlight, whether it's something you want to throw on your resume or on your LinkedIn. Like, companies care about that stuff.
Yeah.
They really look into that. They really value that. So yeah, there are a number of marketing benefits
especially if you
of being
want
a
to
mentor.
like be in a more leadership role at your job, then you can show that you can handle like working with other people or teaching other people.
Yeah. Because take it from a former recruiter's point of view. Like, whenever I would look for candidates back whenever I was recruiting, that was just a major highlight, to where I could take that person's information, present it to whatever employer or client that it was that needed that position filled. And I was like, hey, look at how dedicated this person is. Aside from everything else that they're doing, all of their experience, their education, their background, their skill set, they also volunteer in their free time. So yeah, there are so many marketing benefits when it comes to being a mentor.
I feel like the leadership aspect of this is so apparent, like it's so obvious, because think about it, when you have a team and you're in charge of the team, everybody else, if they don't know, I'm sure they're going to have some idea of what they're doing. They're going to be able to do their job. But you as the leader are going to eventually have to give feedback. You're going to have to help them improve stuff that they aren't doing well. So that's essentially mentorship.
Yeah.
So you're getting practice before you're actually a leader. And I think that makes being the official title, senior, whatever, it makes it easier because you will have already been practicing it. It won't make it feel like, oh my gosh, now I'm in charge. I don't know how to be in charge.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever think that a mentee could or should ever be done being your mentee, and would it be better for them to move to another mentor? This is a good question.
Let me also add, do you feel like you've already taught them what the core concepts you care most about?
Yeah, do you feel like you've taught them all the core concepts? This kind of sounds like what you were saying with the project-based, like if you're only working on them with them for a project. But yeah, what do you all think about this one?
I would say yes.
Okay.
And like it depends too, like what kind of mentorship relationship you guys have. If it is just like, oh, we're just for this project and we're not, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's something more like long term, then I don't know. It just depends what you want from them. You can have different types of mentors,
Yeah.
and maybe you're done with some, you move on with others.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too.
I think it really just depends on the individual themselves. But I think it's right, like if you're a mentee and you've kind of graduated from being a mentee, and it's like, what even is that? How do I graduate from becoming that? Because again, like this world, it's always evolving, languages are changing, technology's always moving forward, like it's never going to stop. So you're kind of always going to be a mentee. But I would think there does come a point to where you get comfortable, say you've landed your first role, you've gotten your feet under you. I think then is a good opportunity to give back to the community and become a mentor and just pave the way for more people here. Because again, like I guess I haven't mentioned this yet, but like this is a really strong community, and just adding to the foundation and strengthening it, like it's only going to benefit us in the long run. So I think definitely like when you get to that point to where you feel comfortable and you're really just even entertaining the idea of being a mentor, by all means, like I think it's only going to benefit if you get back to the community by taking that next step and becoming a mentor.
Yeah. I think too. I have had different mentors, kind of like we were talking about earlier. I've got different people that I go to for specific things, and kind of like the person was asking. If I don't think I ever really cut a relationship off, especially like a mentor relationship, because there could be a future job reference.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like, okay, this relation's over. We're done.
Definitely.
But at the same time, like if it was for a specific project and you're done with it, it's okay to just be like, okay, thank you for helping me with this. I'll keep you in the loop if something else
you can like
comes up.
still message with
Yeah.
each other. It's just not like maybe like as constant as it was before.
Yeah. And then if there's other people that you, like Ryan is one of my unofficial mentors, that if I need to check in about stuff, I'll check in with him. It might not be it might not be every week. It might be once a month or once every couple of months, but I'll check in later on. So I don't feel like you have to necessarily move on. You just stop talking for a little bit.
If anything, you like eventually become friends.
Right.
Yes.
Which sounds funny to say out loud.
Yeah, that's one of the, I would honestly say when it comes to the mentorship, the mentorship relationship, that's one of the things I value the most, because everyone that I've encountered in the past, like sometimes I actually even go back looking for individuals, you know, and we develop this real close relationship where, you know, sometimes after a while, maybe after a few years, let's say 3, 4, 5 years, we start talking about, okay, how is your family? You know, and you build, as I say, you build like that other person who's there to be a cheerleader, you know, and you become the cheerleader of that individual as well. So if your mentee eventually gets like, let's say a big job somewhere, or you know,
Looks good on you.
yeah, you'll be like, man, I remember, and
They might be your boss one day.
yeah, but
You'd be like, "Hey,
yes, and that's possible. That's possible in terms of one day your mentee even becoming your boss one day. But that, you know, those are things that you should not really want to look at. I think you're more looking at, okay, how do I build a community that will be there for me? You know, so I could always, let's say if let's say Hannah is my mentee, I can always go back to Hannah and say, hey, here's this, you know, let's have a conversation, or you know, can I meet you, can I Zoom you, let's talk or something, you know. But you want to build that relationship, because I know we all believe we can do it alone, but as I say, like, man, you need teamwork. And as I say, teamwork make the
Yeah, I would actually just add one thing to this, like, also as a mentor and a mentee, whatever, don't forget to set your boundaries as well. Don't just be like, you can, you know, message me anytime, 24/7, blah blah. Like, I don't know. Set also good boundaries around them. Don't be exploited or anything.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely don't feel pressure to be like available at all times at the drop of a pen or whatever. Yeah. Did you? Oh, is that it? All right. If you all have more questions, you can post them in the mentoring channel of Slack. We are going to post, as soon as this is over, we're going to post some more stuff that you can go back and read through if you're really interested in this topic. It'll be some articles, a podcast, and a really short YouTube video, depending on, you know, auditory, visual learner. Maybe you like to listen to stuff. So That way you've got those different options.